Hello watch enthusiasts! Now today I'd like to present the second part of my videos with David Carpenter Watches. Now a few weeks ago I had the opportunity to go to Kent to go and meet the team, who in fact I'd met before, but see them in their workplace, and really see a new perspective on watchmaking as my Omega Speedmaster Mark III was being serviced by them. And of course this video is sponsored to the extent that they were able to extend a very serious reduction in the price that the service and repair would have cost as a result of the production of these videos, but I trust that makes perfect sense, and I'm following in the same way as Bark and Jack produced his video with them in previous months. But this video is very different, because it's less of a discussion, but instead is a video directed towards those who are interested in seeing the full disassembly of my Speedmaster Mark III. And so with this movement you see quite an interesting mix of things, because at base it's an 861 caliber, so the same movement, or same architecture at least, as you see in a modern Speedmaster, and very similar to the 321 of old from the 1950s and 60s, which has gained such fame. Except this watch has central minutes, a higher beat rate of 4 Hz, and of course automatic winding. And so I hope you enjoy this video and the insight which it gives into this very different world of watch servicing. And of course, before I begin the video, I would like to encourage you to like, share and subscribe if you find this video interesting or useful, and also do follow me on Instagram at the address which is now on the screen to be able to see more content, and content which you wouldn't otherwise see here on the channel, such as discussions with certain individuals, or simply seeing some watches in the wild.
This movement, the 1140 by Omega, so it's a update version of the 861 Lemonia. What they did is to update the version of the chronograph here. So basically they added a record minute in the center. So on the design here, what they did, they just added a big recorder in the center of the minute for the chronograph, which could be a problem on this movement. It's not well designed. It just, the system of blocking the minute recorder is not that great. As always, we had an issue with it is when you set the time, the minute is following the hour, minute recorder for the chronograph. The minute recorder is following the hour hands, is moving at the same times, which is an issue with it. So my job is going to be to retight the fork, or mâchoire in French, to make sure that it doesn't move anymore with it. So what I'm going to do now is going to remove this one, and this screw to make sure that it's, I will show you and to explain further what's the main issue with this system. Alright. Alright, so do you see the movement? Yeah. Alright, so you got the hour minute recorder here. Alright, and if you see carefully, you go 1 and 2. So that's the fork systems. Basically, when you action the chronograph, it will let the wheel to turn to record the minute, and when you stop, the fork is going to go as a mâchoire. It's going to block the wheel to turn. Now, because this system is made in bronze, the problem is it's getting soft after a certain amount of time, and it's based on a self spring loaded. So basically, each time you're using it, each time that the strength of the spring is getting looser and weaker. That's a main issue with the watch. Now I just observe as well this screw is damaged by previous repair. That's not a big deal. I just I'm gonna have to replace that. So that's one of the main issue with the watch. It's no big deal. It's just the fact of I'm gonna have to just rectify this issue. I'm gonna just to have to replace this screw, which I don't know if you pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been. Is it pretty? Pretty girl. Oh, indicator. And now I'm just gonna have to remove the blocker for the our recorder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws. We'll be able to remove everything for the chronograph, hour and minute recorder. So everything is spring-loaded in watchmaking. That's why it's fun, because if you just do a wrong movement when you disassemble, then the parts jump. Then you're gonna have to find yourself on the floor looking for the parts. It's part of the training. You spend times on the floor when you're a newbie, a new watchmaker, or in France, so we just call them bleu. It's like you are like a little Smurf, and then you're just learning. So you spend your day on the floor, and people laughing at you. You just, unfortunately, it's like this. Okay, so look at that. So well made all together. I like Le Mania. It's a good company. I don't know if they're still alive. All right, so it is the fork system. You see? Mm. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release the spring. After the cleaning, I'm gonna increase the tension of it. Not by much, just enough so it can hold when you are setting the hours that the minute recorder is not gonna move. So that's one of the problems you're gonna watch. Okay. All right, so. Up. And for this system, I don't put any grease or anything. What is good with the bronze is you don't need any grease. If you put grease for protecting the material, then you will remove the property of the bronze, so it doesn't slide. It's not good. So it's gonna get sticky if you just add grease. And that's I always. There we go. Up. There we go. All right, so when you are disassembling a chronograph, you're always removing the tension of the spring if you go a spring. So basically what I'm doing is I'm gonna, on the reset command, you go spring there, sitting right there. This one, if you're just starting disassembling the chronograph bridge, this one's gonna jump and fly. So I'm just gonna put it down, unarm the system, just by that. Moving the reset command, using my third finger, so basically a piece of plastic to not damage any metal. Moving like this, I'm just gonna, there we go, and it's out, safe, like this. Then now I can remove the chronograph bridge with the right size of screwdriver. If you don't use the right size of screwdriver, you bruise the screw. Then you will have an ugly screw, which for people don't think it's important, but it is because if you bruise the screw, you damage the screw in time, it could break. Then possible return from the customer.
And if a screw were to be too damaged to remove, how would you proceed?
Well, that's we're gonna have to drill.
Okay.
Drill, or you can. Swiss people make a tool called a thread screw remover. So basically, it's two pieces of metal, and you tighten it, and then you turn it in the same time, and it's basically put pressure on the thread. Then you try to turn the thread of the screw. It's difficult, and most of the time you break the tool. So for me, you just use a drill, not like a machine proper one. So that's the reverser, the main issue. The main issue of the watch is the reverser. The reverser is called wig-wag, winding gear, or reverser. It's these parts. It's what transfer the energy of the rotor weight to make the automatic. So this wheel is doing a lot of work, and it gets worn up easily.
And so how does that work in terms of working? Because there's some sort of orbital.
Yes. So basically, it's sitting on this post here, which is the second part of the wheel. So basically, it's running all around this little pinion. Okay. And basically the strength of the rotor weight, which is here, you see you got pinion there, right there, is engaging with this pinion right there. The pinion transmit the power on the teeth of the reverser, and on the bottom is going to this little pinion, which is reefed to another wheel under the bridge, who's going to the ratchet wheel on the barrel. It's all about how you transfer the power. So by gears and gears and gears and gears, and if one of them doesn't work, then nothing is working. Simple as that. But otherwise, and the chrono runner, who is 40. So we find by the microscope 4 teeth are damaged due by probably a miscare of the watchmaker, the previous watchmaker who did the work. So this one, bin. Reverser, bin. That's it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove chronograph parts. So command, start, stop. Then first of all, I'm going to remove this little one. So that's the guiding for the reset hammer, which that's the main parts for resetting. So when you start, stop, and reset the chronograph, it's what makes the hands go back to 12 o'clock. If this one is damaged, then you will find your hands to go plus or minus 5. So this one you have to check as well the sharp angles, because chronograph wheels have a real art on top of it. Do you focus? Yeah.
Yeah.
So cam. Yeah. So it's a real art, and you have to oil everything. And on the bottom of it, you got this little part there. It's called a finger. The finger just if you have the 861 at the spot there, you have a minute recorder. And the minute recorder, the finger just touching a little wheel between there, the intermediate minute recorder, we call it, simple as that. Then flick one teeth, the teeth just transmit to the minute recorder. It's kind of sweet. Little cute, little cute, yeah, it's quite cute. Up. So that's safe, straight in the basket. So now, just gonna remove a lot of screws. Due by my experience, I know it's true very well, so I will not recommend for anyone to do what I'm doing now. Do step by step if you just don't know what is the movement, but for me, I'm not saying it's a piece of cake, but I know all of them, so I've been doing this for 10 years now, so. don't try this at home, please. Go to a real watchmaker. Otherwise you're gonna have a broken parts, and then you're gonna have a big bill to pay at the end. I had people just contact me and just asking for a lesson for try to fix their watch, and obviously I just ask them to send the watch to the company so we can do a proper job for it. But people try to find a cheaper way to fix their watches. It's sad, but people try to save money. I understand. I mean, some people, they can't afford a service, so they try to fix by themselves, and then some of the watches finish by to have some frying oil in it. Imagine to have a watch system smelling like chips. Literally, I saw some weird things. Literally, and the most common thing is the titanium watches, after a few years of using, smell like fish. Weird. It's a really weird smell. Oh dear, I just been across a lot of weird things. It's
That's quite interesting, because I suppose titanium is a very reactive material, but
It
usually
is.
it's coated, so
Yes,
it
but
develops its own protective coating, so
yeah, it's
peculiar.
yeah, it's really weird. Plus, like any titanium watches are really fragile. Weirdly, the thread on the case back, it's really easy to cross thread the case back, so we have to put a coating of grease to protect the thread. But sometimes we find like some customers try to open their watch and they cross thread the case back. Look at that. Finished by hand. Gorgeous.
It is interesting though about titanium watches, because you see a lot of titanium watches with steel backs.
Yes.
Is that because of the threading problems?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I know there are often a lot of questions asked about why things like a Tudor Pelagos has a steel case back.
Yeah, well,
really
yes,
interesting
but
to hear about it.
they have as well, why they do that is as well for the magnetic issues you get. Some watches are made in the anti-magnetic material, which to protect, like when you go to the shops, you know, you got in France, I don't know, I haven't seen many of them here, but in France you see a lot of like little gates at the entrance of the shop for like
where they scan to stop yes.
Yes. So these kind of things are magnetic, creating a magnetic field. Or like if you leave your watch near an iPad, your iPhone, any sort of electronic device, leave your watch at least like 5 meters away, because they are big magnets.
I've heard of someone putting down their watch on the top of a speaker.
Yeah.
And
Well, Sonos, stuff like this. Yeah. Up. That's the right way to just remove it. Okay. So now I'm just going to release the power.
So at this stage, is all of the chronograph removed? Is this now just the times?
No, I'm just now I'm just gonna have to look at all the gears, the winding gears right there, under there, the shape of the barrel. I'm gonna remove the spring in the barrel, see what's the shape of the barrel inside. If it's too warm, then the spring inside is gonna slip, so I'm gonna have to replace the barrel as well. The material is brass, so brass versus steel, you guess the damage goes off easily. Then I'm gonna check the pivots of all the wheels, see what's the condition of them. I'm gonna check the balance and the hairspring. Only when the plate is naked, because otherwise you can't get a picture.
One question, so what's that small green piece in the middle? Because I understand that's kind of an anti-friction coating, I think. But what does that piece do? Basically
that's the spring, so basically it does sit on the back of the chrono runner, right there, where it's polish, mirror polish. It's basically to just prevent the shake of the watch. Alright, so now I'm going to remove the balance. Hop. There you go. Then 1, 2, 3, 3 screws. Then I've got one more under there, and remove it. I need to remove that first. That's the other parts of the reverser I told you about. Really fragile. Has to be cleaned by hands. No cleaning machine. So love screws. Alright, so here is your main watch. Power, mainspring, barrel, ratchet wheel, and that's all the intermediate wheels for charging the watch. What I told you about, this reaching the power from the rotor weight. You see, that's what it is. So my mission now is to make sure that all the teeth are right. I'm going to clean them deeply. I'm going to remove the mainspring in the barrel, check the barrel. I'm going to check the escapement, and when that's I'm okay with that, I'm going to put back the balance, remove the end stone. So basically it's like the suspension of your car is to protect the pivots, because the pivots are really thin, like really extremely thin. Then I'm going to check the hairspring, and if I have to retouch, I retouch everything on a dirty watch. I don't do any more work. I do 80% of the service. I do the service when it's dirty. Then when it's clean, I only have to put back together, readjust what needs to be adjusted, oil it, regulate it. Then my job after is just to put back the ends and obviously reset the chronograph and put it back together. But the main thing is to work and do all the rectification and the adjustment when it's dirty.
And what sort of time frame would you take to regulate a watch?
5 minutes.
Oh really?
Yeah, 5 minutes. Then I leave it on my timekeeping machine. Then I observe the watch for an hour or two to see if it's stable. Then I'm just going to check an extra 6 to 12 hours later, see if it's still stable. If it's not, then I'm retouching again. Then after I'm going to fully wind the watch. Then 24 hours later, right on the dot, I'm going to see if the watch is still keeping time on the right when I set up at the first time. If it doesn't, then I got an issue. Then I'm going to have to rework on it. So the watch has been tested at least 3 or 4 times before we just let go. It's essential to just make sure like it's all done properly. Mainspring, barrel, mainspring. That's gonna be to remove a mainspring through the barrel. It's quite interesting. Alright, I'm gonna open the barrel. Slide something really thin on the side of the barrel. Open it slightly, because if you just go really brutal on it, it's gonna jump and just gonna cut your skin. You have to be really gentle. There's a lot of pressure and lot of tension. That's the arbor. So basically it's the hook who's just gonna tight the mainspring, who's gonna generate the power of the watch. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just take the mainspring and one by one I'm just gonna remove slightly.
And presumably when it's fully wound in an automatic watch, the spring just turns freely within the barrel.
Well, it shouldn't too much. Yeah. Yes, it should, but it should have a grip. So when you stop winding it, it's still in a position until the next time you just charge a watch. But yes, you got some nice little groove, so it just hook up until the next time you just charge again. But yeah, that's a long mainspring on the back. The key system. which makes the function of the watch plus the install. So I'm just going to remove that now. So that's going to be done. Then your watch going to be completely removed. You see, it doesn't take much time. It just it's after when it start to be like, it's the most interested side of the job is to put it back together. Yellow. I'm gonna check as well the teeth and the wolf teeth because they get worn up. So yeah, that's the sliding pinion and the winding pinion. This one is when you turn the crown. This little one is doing the most of the work. That's why he's arming the watch, and it gets tired after a couple of after 10-15 years. We have to replace it because the teeth are worn up. So I'm gonna just remove the endstone now. There, the oil is just stick to it. So I'm gonna take this one. Alright, so here is your watch at the end. A lot of holes everywhere. Each one are just made for a reason. They're not there for just like the sake of having a hole or like a kind of Gruyere watch. You know, they just they're there for screws and little posts to guide the little bridge. Basically, they're made like this. Good.
So what are you doing now?
I'm going to check the S-spring, and then after that I'm going to remove the stone and go put everything in the basket and launch the cleaning machine.
And so I'll conclude the video there, having seen the full disassembly of the watch, and I think hopefully having given you an interesting view of something which is really not normally seen in video format, and which hasn't been seen before on YouTube. And I would of course like to thank David Carpenter Watches for this opportunity to be able to see this, which I really didn't expect to be able to see, especially with this particular watch, having expected to simply send it off to Omega for servicing in future. And so do tell me in the comments down below what you thought of this video, and whether you found it interesting or useful in terms of giving a different insight and a different view. So thank you very much for watching. This is I'm on the Watch Guy, out.